Mr. Addison, then we'll have Mr. LaMalfa and Mr. Vargas close, if that's okay. Just a comment in terms of the Consumer Assistance Program. Senator LaMalfa has said that it wouldn't be available for this category of people, car owners, until July 1st.
Respectfully, our understanding is different. Respectfully, our understanding is that when you're talking about repairs to vehicles, Consumer Assistance Program, there's sort of two different components to it. One part is the part that's paid to people who are retiring a vehicle. That's the so-called scrappage part. The other part is the Repair Assistance Program. The Repair Assistance Program is available now, today, on an ongoing, regular basis. That's my understanding. If there's somebody here from BAR, they might be able to tell you differently. It's possible that I'm incorrect on that, but that's my understanding.
But right now, if somebody comes in and owns one of these cars and fails the smog check and they qualify for the assistance based on their income, they can go and get, as you said, $500 worth of repairs or be exempted from the program.
If the repairs are more than $500, then they're exempted and they're deemed passed.
And if they don't do that, they don't get their car registered because they failed smog check.
That's correct.
So do we know how many cars, maybe this is to you, Senator, 162,000 cars have been registered, so they've passed smog. Do we know how many have failed smog in this category?
I believe the stat given earlier by the rep from SEMA and the car clubs was that right out of the chute, 71% do pass and 29% need further assistance.
Right. So it's a very small group of people, but that 30% of this group contribute 24 tons a day. Is that correct?
24 tons a day, that's correct. That's combined reactive organic gases and oxides of nitrogen.
Okay.
And how many do the other 27 million cars driving several billion miles per year make tons per day?
So through the chair, answer that question, please. I confess.
Is it greater than 0.5%?
Yeah, what I can tell you, I confess that I'm not sharp enough to do that math in my head, but I can tell you this. The statistic that these cars are over half of 1% of the population, I think, is absolutely correct. They're putting out over 4% of the total emissions. I can't quantify that 24 tons, 4%.
But it's disproportionate. That's all I've got. If no other committee members have, we will have you close. Two senators.
Sure. I think I'll go first, if you don't mind, to the chair.
Certainly.
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to be up here also with my colleague. I am a principal co-author. If we had not pulled off the automatic roll-off, in fact, all of these cars would have been exempted. It would have been exempted until up to 1982. So this is, I think, a modest look back and say, okay, what are we doing here today? Well, we're taking a look at the cars that I do think are still on the road because of either they're collector cars or the people that can't afford to buy newer cars. And I do think that those cars are, in fact, going to disappear over a number of years as the other ones have. It is about 4% or less. I mean, when you talk about 24 tons, you make it sound like it's the world's coming to an end. When you talk about 3.8%, then you find out it is almost de minimis. And that's why I think this is so important. And again, I would urge your support of the bill.
Thank you to my colleague. That would just about sum it up. And when you look into a practical matter, I think of the different people across the spectrum here. But one example would be a guy up in Cedarville, up in Modoc County. He's got to get his 1978 F-250 Smog. So he's got to drive it 30, 40 miles into town, wherever the smog station is, and gets there and finds out, oh, they got to fix something on it. So he has to call his wife to come get him. She comes and picks him up, and they leave the car overnight. She's got to give him a ride the next day. We made 3 vehicle trips over a vehicle that might be driven 2,500 miles per year. And so, to what end? To what are we really chasing here? With when we're talking the percentage, when we're talking to different people across the spectrum that can help here with this. And as Senator Vargas said, had the other bill not passed, we would have had even 2 more years on there. So we do think it's a modest approach and a good look back over a promise and an implication that was made a few years ago. So I humbly ask for your support of the bill, and we'll keep it moving along. And thanks, Mr. Chairman, for your indulgence and for your help today.
Always a pleasure. And let me say, while I'm sympathetic to what you're trying to do with the bill, I do think, having had some history, that we've tried to accommodate it. What you're attempting to do, maybe not completely successfully, at least for the people who own the collectors in particular. And I've been in parades with some of these cars. I've been in these cars in parades, and they've let me know in an urban environment. Having said that, it's hard to justify, just for me personally, the 24 tons. And you're right, Senator Vargas, it's a small amount, but as we all know, when we try to capture the tons that are required under the Federal Clean Air Act so we can make our emissions reductions, which most of the states still are not in attainment, it's just hard to find those tons anywhere. So while I'm sympathetic, I unfortunately will be a no vote. So with that, I'd ask if there's a motion on the bill. Moved by Senator Gaines, and would ask the Secretary to call the roll.
Desaulniers?
No.
Desaulniers, no. Gaines? Yes. Gaines, yes. Harmon? Aye. Harmon, yes. Kehoe? Lowenthal? Pavley? Rubio? Simidian? Wyland? Aye. Wyland, aye.
So we'll leave that on call. You have 3 yes votes and 1 no vote.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Vargas. You're next. It's the Senator Vargas show here today.
Hope you don't shoot this one down too.
Oh, come on, Senator Vargas. It's called democracy.
Yes, we'll have democracy later,
Yes.
so don't worry.
You're up 3-1 in the top of the first.